Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with us 7 signs which I personally experienced and which I believe for most Christians who waited on God before getting into marriage and for God to lead us, to our future spouses, our husband and wife. We, in one way or the other, experience these signs from God in different variations and degrees. And these signs do not have any particular order, yes, but these signs do come according to your personal and unique walk with God. In these signs, I'm going to be showing us how God prepares us for marriage and leads us, tells us that His season for launching us into marital settlement is nearby, and that we should get ourselves prepared. And our anchor scripture for today's video is going to be taken from the book of Esther, chapter 2. In one of my earlier videos, I mentioned that when it comes to preparation for marriage, especially as for we ladies, that two books of the scripture stands out for us, and that is Ruth and Esther. So for today's video, our anchor scripture is going to be taken from the book of Esther, chapter 2, from verse 8 to 15. But for the emphasis of this video, I'm going to be picking some verses. I'm not going to be reading through it so that this video does not get too long. But please, in your spare time, please go through these verses from verse 8 to verse 15. You could as well do well to read the whole chapter. It's not so long and it will expand your knowledge of the scripture as well. Verse 11 says, "And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her." At this point, Esther was already in the king's palace with other maidens preparing to be, that's 1 year of preparation that they went through before they eventually met with the king. We saw that in chapter 1 of the book of Esther. The first queen of the king, that was Queen Vashti, had already lost favor and lost her position as the queen of the palace and of the kingdom, and had been sent out, had been expelled. And now the king was in need of a new queen, a new bride, and he had ordered that all the maidens, all the virgins of the kingdom of the province be brought into the palace for a 1 year mandatory preparation, after which he would meet with all of them and pick for himself the one who pleases him the most and crown her his queen and his wife. And Esther was in that place with other virgins. And before we get to this verse 11, we saw that when Esther arrived at that place of preparation, she had special favor from the person that the king put in charge of these maidens, the chamberlain, whom the king had put in charge of these maidens to prepare them. And so he was giving her some kind of extra treatment, extra preferential treatment, and some other secret tips and secret, do's and don'ts on how to win the heart of the king, which she eventually did because these things worked in her favor. Yes, we all know the history and story of Esther